everybody. Welcome to another episode of the I Am Qiana Skills podcast. Baby, I was late for, girl, they gonna dock my pay. I'm 17 minutes late for work. Y'all should have let me off last Monday. Cause baby, I am late. Now I actually was on time. What had happened was, yeah, I had some technical difficulty and it was something going on with these glass. Yeah, y'all, honey, and so y'all gonna find out who Serena is in just a moment. But she saved the day. Saved the day, baby. Woo, I didn't think I was gonna be able to come. I was about to call out, child. Just gonna say chop the whole and just chop it and screw it on up to another day. All right, y'all. Tonight's conversation is for the person who has ever asked themselves, why does it feel like life keeps hitting me? It's for the person who has survived heartbreak, loss, disappointment, betrayal, a layoff, a diagnosis, or a season that almost broke them. Because tonight we're talking about being refined by fire. We're talking about how some of life's greatest pain can become our greatest preparation. We're talking about what happens when tragedy tries to break you, but instead it builds you. We're talking about resilience, faith, perseverance, and discovering strength you never knew you had until life gave you no other choice. And if you ever found yourself asking God, why am I going through this? Then trust me. I said, yes, trust me. You need to hear tonight's conversation because my guest has walked through grief. She's walked through loss. She's walked through uncertainty. She's walked through breast cancer. And somehow, through every obstacle, every setback, and every storm, she emerged stronger on the other side. Tonight isn't just an interview. It's a testimony. It's a master class in resilience. And before we finish this conversation, I believe somebody watching is going to realize that everything you thought was attacking you and destroying you, that is actually developing something within you. So don't go anywhere because this conversation is about to be powerful. Now, before we go any further, don't just watch. I need you to like, share, comment, get in the chat. And then I got a question for you. What is one challenge life brought your way? I'm going to start my questions early for the chat. What is one challenge life brought your way that ultimately made you stronger? Go on and tell me about it in the chat. I love to hear. Welcome to the I Am Qiana Skills podcast, where truth meets transformation. This is a space for real talk, real people, and relevant conversations. No gossip, just gems. And before we jump into tonight's conversation, I want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you, baby, because last Friday, mixology, music, and trivia was absolutely amazing. To everyone who purchased a ticket, shared the flyer, invited a friend, supported in any way, that came out and experienced the event in person. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because of you and the last 2 tickets sold at the door, it was a sold out show. And I am forever grateful. Yes, I am. And I just would be remiss if I didn't stop to say thank you because I hadn't had a chance to jump online, had a busy weekend. You know me, I go from one event to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next thing, to the next thing. But I have to say thank you. Thank you, Nashville and surrounding areas, for pulling up on your girl. The energy was incredible. The competition was fun. And y'all, woo child is all I can say about couch conversations with you. Baby, you had to be there. I told you I was going to be raw. I didn't lie. No lies told. Tell them no lies told. I said it was going to be raw. I said it was going to be unhinged and unfiltered. I did. I'm shaking my head over here because I can't even repeat what came out of my mouth. And I can't even believe I said some of the stuff I said. But the audience members, you all were great. I told you would become part of the show. And I just want to say thank you for letting me clown with you all, that you didn't take anything I said personal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's get on with this. Well, before I can get on, I got to thank. Look, I'm about to. Let me thank my sponsor. Yes. Before I do that, let me go back because I need to thank. Let me thank Kamika Duke, the owner of Meridian Street Cafe, for the collaboration. And her staff. Everybody was wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I need to also thank Chris Liddy II, aka Lover, for his performance. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I also need to thank DJ Cool the Neptune on the ones and twos. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And like I said, thank you to everybody for supporting. I want to call some more names. Thank you, Keita. Thank you, Cezanne. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, everybody. I'm probably going to forget some names. Thank you, Vonda. Thank you, everybody. I don't want to say any more names because people going to say, hey, you forgot me. I know. Charge it to what they say, to my heart, not my head. Okay, yeah. Now,
head, not my heart.
Head, not heart. Yeah, y'all knew what I meant. See, that's why I didn't want to call nothing. See, then I got to apologize, and I don't even know how to apologize right. You can see we should already be out. This is supposed to be a serious episode, and I'm already clapping. I think I'm still on the high from Friday.
That's okay.
So let me bring this. I'm still on the high from Friday.
You stay up there, girl. Stay up there.
But before I introduce tonight's guest, let me take a moment to shout out our sponsor, the Closet Experience Boutique. Listen, Linda, listen. Confidence isn't just something you feel. Sometimes it's something you wear, whether you're looking for a statement piece, a head-turning outfit, or something that helps you show up as the best self, as your best self. The Closet Experience Boutique has you covered. And because you're part of the I Am Qiana Scales podcast family, you can save 10% with code PODCAST. That's PODCAST. TheClosetExperience.com. What's in your closet? All right. Let's get into it, because I know y'all trying to figure out, who is this sitting on this couch over here?
Who am I?
I don't know. I don't even know how she got over here. I don't even know where I even know her from. I don't know.
From around the way.
Yes. Now, family, tonight's guest embodies the very definition of what it means to be refined by fire. In the book of Isaiah, God declares, when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you. Notice he didn't say we would never face the fire. He said the fire would not consume us. Tonight's guest is living proof of that promise. You know, we often hear people talk about resilience. We hear motivational quotes. We hear people say, stay strong or keep the faith. Keep your head up. But every now and then you meet someone whose life story puts real meaning behind those words. Tonight's guest is one of those women. She is a woman who knows what it feels like to have life change in an instant. A moment, of uncertainty. A woman who understands grief, heartbreak, uncertainty, and adversity on levels many people will never fully comprehend. Imagine finally finding love and beginning a new chapter, only to become a widow after just 4 months of marriage. Imagine navigating one of the darkest seasons of your life and then watching your only child leave for college in another state, leaving you to face that season in an even quieter house. Imagine dedicating years to a career, believing you would retire from that company, and only to be unexpectedly laid off. And then, just when it seems like life couldn't possibly ask anything else of you, imagine being diagnosed with breast cancer about 30 days later. For many people, any one of those circumstances could have been enough to break them. Any one of those storms could have caused them to lose hope. But tonight's guest reminds us that resilience isn't the absence of struggle. It's the decision to keep standing when life gives you every reason to fall. She chose faith over fear. She chose perseverance over surrender. She chose to trust God when she couldn't trace where he was or what he was doing in those seasons of her life. Somewhere between heartbreak, uncertainty, the unemployment, the diagnosis, the treatments, and the recovery, she discovered something powerful. The same fire that threatened to destroy her was actually developing her. Like gold refined in the furnace, every trial revealed greater strength, deeper faith, and unwavering resilience. Today, she stands not as a victim of her circumstances, but as a testament to God's sustaining grace. She's a breast cancer survivor. She's a woman of faith. She's a woman of resilience. She's living proof that the fire may change you, but doesn't have to destroy you. Sometimes the fire reveals who you really are. I can't say that enough.
Yes.
Sometimes that fire just gives you that strength that God already placed inside of you. Listen to land. Listen to land. I need y'all to go on and start clapping it up in the chat and help me welcome the incredible woman, the overcomer, the inspiration, Tarita Wright Burroughs. Yes. Tarita,
is that really me?
Yes.
Ooh, that's it.
Baby. Woo!
Yes,
Thank you
I'm
so
glad to be
much.
here.
Thank you so much for joining me. I truly believe without a doubt that your story, your testimony will encourage somebody tonight
Thank you.
that may be carrying something heavy.
Yeah.
Yes. So you ready to help the people? Help the people.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I stay ready.
Okay, we just gonna jump right on into this thing. So Tarita, before we get into all of those life changes and experiences you've endured, I want people to get to know the woman behind the story. So I want to know, who was Tarita before life started pretending or presenting
Right.
presenting those challenges? Like, where are you from?
Okay.
Let's start with, where are you from? What were your goals and aspirations? And how would you describe yourself?
Okay, I'm from Smyrna, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yay, Smyrna.
Nobody
Nobody knows Smyrna, but you know this
That's
sign.
right.
That's what this sign is. But number 6 of 7. Had a great, family. So my big idea on my life was, at first I was gonna be a race car driver.
Okay, come
My
on.
mama told me no, and then so
you used to go to the, I'm assuming you went to like the Indy 500s or just watching.
no, I just decided that because I like to drive fast. So
Oh my goodness! So you the one on 24 going fast?
Sometimes.
Don't incriminate
That's
yourself.
not our topic. No.
Yo, I can see we gonna clown tonight. I love a good clowning, but okay.
But so my big idea for my life, and I had sisters and friends who had babies before marriage, but that wasn't what I was going to do. My big idea was, I'm going to be married before I'm 30 or whatever, 25, 30, gonna be married a couple of years, then have the perfect boy and the girl. This lovely house, and they're going to grow up. We're going to be travel after they grow up, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
But I definitely enjoyed life at 35. I didn't have only have one child.
Okay.
I didn't have her until I was 35.
Okay.
So that's late for a lot, but I wasn't ready before then. So I
You
truly enjoyed motherhood to the fullest, and I mean that's my heart. So that's my daughter. She's 22 now.
Oh, she's 22.
Yeah.
Because when I met you, I think she was she in high school?
She was younger, maybe junior high.
Yeah,
so
junior high. Okay.
So it was a challenge, growing up. I mean, raising her as a single mom, but and her dad was in her life the first few years, but and I've grown to, I hear a lot of times with single moms, and they say this and that about the dad, but I really think a lot of times they're the best dad that they know how to be. So over the years, I definitely, decades, I realized that. So you can't be what you don't know,
right?
Regardless of whether you're adult or whatever. So, but our village was crazy.
Oh wow.
It was crazy, just lovely, and so she came up. Brother, I'm really proud of her.
Look, I'm just sitting over here still in honor. She's 22.
She's 22. Graduated December. Well, yeah, December of 2025, and then she actually already had her real job before she graduated, and graduated in December. Moved to Dallas in January, and she's like never turned back, living her best life.
Oh, I love that for her. So when you hear the phrase "refined by fire," what does that mean to you personally?
That I'm able to be here today in my right mind. Well, and I say it's right today. Yeah, that's how I say it.
I had to tell people, depending on I took my meds or not, which
it's right today. But you never. There's certain things that happen you never think it's gonna happen to you. And of course, all my life it's just like, okay, Lord, I want this. This I have this what I need in a man for me. And one thing I can say about my parents, my mom was my first best female friend.
oh, wow.
And my daddy was my first best male friend. So a lot of people say that your parents can't be your friend. You can't be your child's friend.
Oh, yes.
But you can. And you can be that still
There
authoritative.
can be a balance. Yes,
Now,
be a balance.
I'm not trying to be my daughter's homie. I'm not her homegirl, but her friend. And that's to teach you how to be a friend and how to know when somebody is your friend. So I think growing up, I really embraced that. So I always thought I want somebody that's like my daddy, and even after I had my daughter, my big thing, I said, I want her to live not in just a home, but I want to have a house for her before she graduates from college, and just some certain things we want. So I met this lovely man, which we knew each other before, but we kind of reconnected like in 2018. And one thing kind of led to another. He had a house, a couple of them, but it wasn't where it was in Jolton and Memphis, and I wasn't going to either one of those. So, but it did, we ended up getting together, dating. And what I loved about it and what I had prayed about, he not only dated me, he courted me.
Oh, you don't get that.
And there's a difference. And some people don't know the difference. A real gentleman does. So, and my daughter, like, he didn't meet her till after about 6 months, as I'm very protective of that. So, it was a great union, So after about a year, he proposed and then moved us into a house that was also a home, before she graduated. That was mine. So then I'm like, all right, God, you listen to me, So we had a lot of things were really going well. And then we ended up getting married September of 2020. And then I'm like, okay, this is wonderful. And everything's starting off right. And then here comes COVID. Well, COVID was already there. And actually, I think about when you really pray about stuff, you have to listen to God.
Oh, yes.
And I was kind of like, we set this date for September the 11th, or September 2020. And that was around the time when my father had passed. So my husband, one thing he asked me, he's like, well, you're a good woman. Why are you not married? I said, I've never met anybody who compares to my daddy. Not knowing I was talking to him already. So it was him. So even 2020, I was like, we're not going to get married. It's COVID. They canceled them. We couldn't meet where we were. And that was at the time where it's like you can only be around 10 people. Well, my family's like huge. So I'm like, well, we're gonna pick straws to see who comes. So it was really fun. And I said to him, I was like, we're not gonna do this. And he's like, yes, we are, because this is what God led us to this, and it's gonna happen. So I said, well, we had these beautiful colors, fall colors, and everything. So one day I was like, all these Amazon packages in my living room. What are we gonna do with all this stuff? So I said, we're just gonna get married in the backyard. I'm gonna wear some blue jeans, and we're gonna wear our Converse. And as I go around to the back, I'm just gonna pick up flowers, and that's gonna be my bouquet. So we laughed about it, but the more I thought about it, and so our wedding, really, I was like, that's a good idea, because I always said I wanted to have clothing for my wedding that people could wear again.
Okay.
So our theme was denim and diamonds. I said, let's get married in jeans. And he was like, blue jeans? And I was like, it's really not that bad. So it was really, a nice thing. So it was going great. Then COVID got worse, and it was before we knew a lot about it. So like I said, we got married in September of 2020. And we all, actually, him and my daughter and I, we all three caught COVID in January of 21, which was like 4 months, but he had it the worst. And he actually ended up passing. But he always said, my fear is dying alone. And now, and I used to think, well, God, I should have took him. I should have took him to the hospital. I should have done this. But then I thought, well, he would have been alone.
Yeah.
And he would always say,
Yes,
my daughter
'cause
and I
nobody
was
could come
his
up there.
first. He was like, y'all my favorite two people in the world. So he actually passed at home when the paramedics was there, but he actually collapsed on my steps, and we were there, my daughter and I. So, after a while, I've come to be okay with the fact that I didn't send him earlier. He didn't want to go to the hospital, but had I known the things we know now, I would have. But then, like I said, back then, he would have been alone because I couldn't be there.
Yeah,
And
that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I was at work all day, which is I work from home, and I was fine. I just clocked out, went downstairs, went down my steps, and it was just like I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Like, and of all nights, Patrick did not get off work till late, and I was just like, it's another story. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I'm going to speed the story up because I did something foolish. I called my boss. Somebody asked me why. So for some reason I called. I don't know if my man was thinking I was still on the clock and I'm huffing and puffing. I'm not going to call it. But I will say that I finally made my way back up the steps and told Patrick, was like, you just need to call the ambulance because even my boss trying to say, you called him. Right. I was like, I'm just going to lay down, but I couldn't because I still couldn't get my breathing under control. So finally it's about 11 o'clock. Patrick gets home. And I was just like, I don't even want to go. Like, he's like, no, you need to go. I'm still saying, my oxygen was so low. When I tell you, like, I feel like I'm having a panic attack. If that's what it was feeling like. And the last time I felt that way is when my nephew had passed away. So I'm just thinking, well, I don't know why I feel like I'm just thinking, oh, it's a panic attack or something. I said, anxiety, I'll be okay. But I could not breathe. When we got there, they told Patrick he couldn't come any further and that they were going to swab me. And I was at that hospital by myself. And I was on oxygen therapy. So from there, it was just like, they don't even come in your room because that's when they didn't want to pull all that fluid gear. When I tell you, baby, I did not cut the news on. I tried to stay off my phone as much as possible other than phone calls because I was like, I thought that's why I was going to die. Honestly, I kept on saying, I got to make it out of here, God. Then they were trying to transfer me because they need to put somebody in that room that need a ventilator. They were trying to send me to Dixon, Tennessee to a rehab. And I was like, then they were also trying to ask me if I wanted this drug. I'm like, and they want to answer right then because they're not coming back in there. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Then when I tell you, they're not giving you a chance to call somebody to be like, you think I should do this? What y'all think? Nope. They wanted an answer right then on the spot. Let me ask you this. Many people are facing challenges right now and wondering if they'll ever make it through them. Do you believe resilience is something you're born with or something that develops within you as you go through things?
I think a little bit of both. I think you're born with some, and I think it can develop with what you see growing up. Because it's a lot I saw, like my parents, my family, friends, and that helps build it, but nothing is like when you go through it yourself. And I would tell anybody, and I grew up in the church, faith this and faith that, but once this stuff starts coming, it's just like, it was days truly when I'm like, if somebody tell me one more scripture, I don't want to hear it. And that's just being true with God, and I'm just like, and it's been those days when I tell you, I talk to God like, in my neighbor, I'm just, and it was some bleeps, and I one of those, sometimes the way you couldn't repeat what you said last Friday. It's just
but sometimes people don't realize that. When people like, you talk to God, sometimes he already know what I'm thinking, what I'm saying before. And I thought I was the only person because people be trying to chastise you, make you feel guilty about. No, sometimes I really have those raw emotions like, God, you just gonna leave me in the wilderness? As you was talking though, something just hit me. Oh my goodness, what was I gonna say? It's something I heard. Let me think what it is so I can quote it exactly. If you find yourself walking in hell, walk through it like you got it going on. I was like, you go through it with grace and just, you don't let it take over you, is basically what it was saying. Now that doesn't mean y'all gonna be out here pretending and just, no, it's just saying gracefully go through what you're going through.
And I think that's so important because even when my husband passed, and like I said, that was January, my daughter was leaving to go to North Carolina to school in August, and her thing was like, Mom, I'm not leaving you. And I said, yes, you are. I said, because my thing is I will never hold you back. This is your life. I got this and the people around me. So it's interesting how God puts you where you need to be because where we live, And the house at that particular time was close to some people I knew from childhood. So it's just like they embraced us, and I was there right when I needed to be. And this was placed there like a year before. So even with going through a lot of that, and pretty much dealing with that, and then her leaving, and I'm just
That's
like,
a lot. I mean, that is a lot.
yeah.
And I'm gonna ask the chat real quick.
Yes.
I want you to answer right now. What's something you went through that you thought would break you, but it didn't? And chat, y'all can just chime in and talk to us all night, and we're gonna answer anything we can. If you want to ask her anything throughout this episode, feel free to do so.
I don't mind. I told her I'm an open book.
Yeah, she's already told me, so you can.
Yes.
So grief is something everyone experiences differently. Now, let me say that. What are some of the emotions and struggles you were dealing with that people around you may not have seen? You talk about your village.
I think one of the biggest things was first disbelief. Because my thing is, I was 50 when I got married. So I'm thinking, you had me wait 50 years to get this man, and then you take him away in 4 months. I'm like, what's really up with that? And then really in with that, I really thanked God for him as my husband, as being a guy, being a God-fearing man himself. Because one thing he told me is, we going to do this wedding, and we're going to do it because it's what we had. And I think back, and I was like, God, he was so right, because you thinking you have all this time. So my thing is, had we not got, and he doesn't have children. So my thing is, had we not got married, I wouldn't have been his wife. And if he passed, I would have had nothing. I would not, the house would have been his name. Eventually, I would have had to refinance or leave. It just that, even with, where do I start? How am I gonna, have, and his big thing was, I don't want our daughter working for 2 years at least. When college, I'm like, how am I gonna do this by myself? So that was during COVID time. I wasn't even working, and I'm thinking, Lord, if I hadn't listened to him, but then since I was married to him, anything that he had, of course, as his wife,
you got all
and it was just like, even down to the home he had, had a couple that we had renters in. I wouldn't have had access to that. It means that girlfriends have no access.
No.
That's why I always said I would never be a long time.
The only way around it is unless you were a beneficiary on some paper.
But and at that time, I probably would not have been, because our biggest thing is, he would have still had it as, maybe his brother or whomever, until we were married. Then of course all of that changed. But you did, and then even within that. And what I tell everybody is, please communicate. And I even tell people, as soon as you get married, you think you have time, but go ahead, know about those insurance policies, know what this is hidden, know these passwords. And it was a blessing that I had a man who trusted me so, because I knew the passwords to everything he had. So had I not known that, and he kept spreadsheets of everything. Had I not known that, I would not have been able to access his email to see what he was paying. I mean, he took care of everything, so, and it wasn't that I didn't know, because he always said, well, Tarita, we're going to do this, we're going to sit down. My thing was, we'll do it the first of the year. January, we got this, not knowing the first of the year, you wasn't going to be here.
Wasn't going to be there.
So I tell everybody, don't take that little time for granted. But also with grief, people have to tackle it at your own pace. Because for me, I was ready within a few months. I'm like, okay, I can't have this room with all this stuff. I want to give it to somebody that it really helps. But I've known people who for 5, 10, 15 years, they leave the room the same. But to me, that would bring more grief. Grief to you. But to them, it didn't. So people was like, after a year, you should be ready to date. It's up to you. You do what works for you. Don't listen to what everybody says. Because it doesn't matter. And if you listen to what people say, people have you
doing this
way on. They have you in Laverne thinking you in Clarksville Highway. It's just like, it's crazy.
You have to listen to be in tune to what you want, what works for you. Like I said, everybody processes grief or life experiences differently.
It's totally different.
I want to go back and talk. I know you said your husband passed, then your daughter goes off to college.
Right.
So I want to know, what was that experience like, that transition? Because you're still processing the grief. And I know you told her you would never hold her back, but did you deep down feel like, feeling like somebody's leaving you again?
Yeah, well, I felt like, but you know what? Actually, I didn't. And the reason I felt like, if I had told her, okay, that would be holding her back. And I think that comes from deep down, well, from growing up. Because one thing our parent, my mom always instilled in us is, you do what you want to do. Because even with graduating, I went to school in Knoxville. Some people, my friends' parents wouldn't let them. They're like, no, you're going to stay at MTSU. And I've learned over the years they regret that. So one thing they instilled in me is, I want you to do what you want to do, because you can always come home. But I would never be the one to hold you back. So I knew I would miss her more, but I'm just like, that'll give me more initiative to just go away, be away with her. But yeah, I never, and I thought, yeah, this is I guess not really a loss as far as grief, but it's a loss as is, I'm gonna miss you more, because that, that's like my best friend, so it's like you're losing a best friend, but then again, you're gaining this experience by being able to go to another state and just experience new things. And her thing was, well, I want you to come with me. I'm like, absolutely not. I said, because I get up there and you get with your friends and leave me.
And then I'm still just sitting here.
But I think the biggest thing with that is, my family and close friends, they was like, we got you. So they were there for me for what I needed when I didn't even know what I needed.
And that's just going to ask you, so how were you exhausted emotionally, physically? Because that's got to be a lot to take on. Right now, we're just still talking about the loss, her moving away to go off to college. So that is heavy in itself. Then we're about to get into the other stuff.
Right.
So what was that, that anxiety? I know that had to feel heavy.
You know what, it did. But the thing with that is, as like I said, like a year before, where we decided to move was by people that I ended up knowing. And it was like, after she went off to college, and the lady where we were, she had sons, and they would look after her, when she worked, or they tell me the next day, well, they tell you getting off late. They would stand outside, and they were guys, and you totally trust them, because sometimes you can't trust men around your kids.
Right.
But they would wait. So it was like, when she left, almost every day when I come home, they outside, what we doing today? Like Tuesday we doing taco, this day we're doing that. So it was like they filled that void, and sometimes it was like, okay, can y'all go home? Like, yeah, but
appreciate you, but
So then it kind of became the point where people wanted to just come over on the weekends. We do this, so it's like they all came in and they filled that void, but it was still those nights where, and I actually,
because once everybody goes away, you're still sitting in it.
But there's one thing I can definitely say, and somebody said that to me, actually probably about 5 or 6 months after my husband passed, and they was like passing on, hey, you doing? I was like, well, I'm good. And one thing they said, they was like, well, yeah, you're doing good until everybody goes away. And I said, well, you know what? I don't know what that feels like, because they haven't gone anywhere. And I think the biggest thing with that is, the people in my life before he came, they were there during the time. I had to remind them that y'all were my family first, not his. So then they were there afterwards. So they didn't go anywhere, and the majority of them are still there, still here. So that helped. So much, but on the times when it's just like, it was still those, Lord, what in the world's going on?
Because when the house gets quiet, there's nothing, you think you hear a door opening, it's just in your mind.
Yep, and I think the first time I tell anybody when I kind of broke down was when I think maybe it's a month or so after he passed, and I went to the gas station. And I pulled up, and I was just sitting there like thinking he gonna get out and pump the gas, because all of that, as a gentleman, I never did that. And then I was just like, I gotta pump my own gas. I just broke down at the gas. And this man was like, ma'am, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So I'm just like, I gotta pump my own gas. And some people think that's nothing, but it was a big thing at the moment. I mean, he cooked. He did, a lot of, I didn't like grocery shopping. He did all of that. So I'm just like, I gotta work for real again, So it was, but it was just like, you pray about it, and you have people praying for you, and you can feel that, and that's
they can feel that
important.
energy
Yeah, they can
that
feel
exudes
that.
within you.
So,
Like when you can't even pray for yourself, you know
yeah,
somebody's praying because you
yeah,
all of a sudden get that energy. You
yeah,
just, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's that one of them things when you giving up on yourself almost,
yeah.
and then it's just something that hits you, and you're like, somebody's out there
It's like, where does it
praying for
come
this.
from?
You
And
get that boost of
yes, where did it
energy,
come
that
from?
confidence to get on
Yeah,
and get back up. Then came
yes,
another major shift. You were laid
yes,
off from a job you believed you would retire from. What was your
yes.
initial reaction when you realized that chapter was ending unexpectedly?
I think my biggest thing was kind of frustration
Mm-hmm.
because I think my profession had always been human resources. So I
Okay.
think with that, I know the inside, the secrets, the um you're creating this position for somebody you want to be there, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really not advertised, but you got to
I
advertise
see.
it just by the rules, but
Look
you
how I'm
already
looking at the
know who
chat.
you're gonna have.
Corporate America politics. I be
So
trying to tell
yeah,
y'all about.
so I knew the game,
Mm-hmm.
but and so I understood both sides. I understood
Mm-hmm.
it, but I was just kind of, I didn't see that coming.
Coming. Mm-hmm.
But I think that was the surprising thing. But it was me along with a few others who were laid off too, and it's just like, now that you, when I thought about it, it was like, well, this was kind of something. This was kind of something. But I think within that, I really see it now as a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because even though financially things was like not the same, and I was always the strong one now for
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, but I had to be strong for myself now. That's a hard thing. So I look at it back even after everything that's gone on. Had I been working, I wouldn't have time to do a lot of the stuff I can for other people, as far as taking them to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
seeing about them, helping babysit, little stuff like that, or even with the next stage with the breast cancer diagnosis, it was just like back to back to back appointments. So I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
I would have to take this time off from work
And I was just
with
going to
this
talk about that.
procedure, with
Mm-hmm.
that, it'd have been co-payments.
Okay.
So now it's just like, okay, God, I see
So
what
you
you're
got.
doing. And I think one big thing that I have has helped me through this, and it may help somebody else. There's actually a gospel artist that I discovered. Her name's like Chevelle G.
Chevelle.
She has these songs,
Mm-hmm.
and the first time I heard one of them, it was just like, where these tears coming from? These
Mm-hmm.
allergies is crazy. But one of them is like, maybe this had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That was one, and then personal, and it's just like, and then another one's in this chapter. So it's just like in this chapter I've learned, and it's like so much I've learned about myself that I thought I already knew. So it's like, all right, God. And one thing it's about faith. You know all of this stuff from
Yep. Mm-hmm.
vacation, Bible school, Sunday
Yep.
school, but it's different.
It's
And
different when you're going
yes,
through it. We know
yes,
the word, we know how to flip through our
yeah,
Bible, or now flip through our phone. But it's something about when you're going through
it's
it,
different.
it's very
Yeah,
different. You some like
yeah.
you said earlier, sometimes you don't want to hear a scripture, you don't want
I
to hear
don't
a
want to hear
quote,
it.
you just want to be stuck in the realness of why me.
Yeah,
And then sometimes we have to remind ourselves, why not to say, why
yeah.
not me? What is on the other side of this?
And I think the thing with that, I look at too. I actually have a tattoo that says faith.
Okay.
I got this probably about 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing that I need to look at
Look
it
at your
every day.
mm-hmm.
And it's just like, wow, that's interesting. And I think when you say, why not you?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to someone at one point that had gone through some things too. And I was just like, they were saying something about going to this function. I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to see happy couples. I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see happy people
Mm-hmm.
right now. And definitely not a man and a woman, because that's not my story. And I'm like, why God have to do this? And one thing she said, she was like, well, Rita, because God knew you could handle it. I'm like, do you think I'm Superwoman? But then too, she broke it down, and I really thought about it. I said, well, if you have somebody, and they're with this world today,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you really think about it, if it's at the point to where your husband laying on your steps, and God is saying, come on with me, Vince, and then you saying, no, baby, I don't want you to go, who you think you gonna pick? And I was just
Mm-hmm.
like,
Because that's
well, yeah, you're
because
right.
when you picked to be like,
Yeah,
I hate to leave you, but
yeah. Like,
I
I love you, but I watch you
want you
from up
from up
here,
here.
So
Uh-huh.
that, and I was just like, wow. And you think about that old song,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I think now I listen to songs,
Mm-hmm.
the
That's why I was just gonna
words,
say.
and
Mm-hmm.
you think that we'll understand it better by and by.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you sung that forever, but now
Now
it's
you
just
it
like,
resonates more
yeah,
with you.
and it's like sometimes we don't understand it, but you got to
I
be
think.
okay with it.
Yep. So what would you say to someone listening tonight who recently lost a job and is
Mhm.
questioning their value or their purpose?
I think to really just look at the blessing in it, because sometimes you lose a job and because to make room for something else.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times now when I tell you I really found out that I'm like, God, what kind of sense of humor do you have? What's really going on here? But it's kind of like, okay, Trudy, you need to sit down.
Mhm.
And I'm always on the go. But I think to
Yes, you
me,
are.
it's hard. It was hard to not be on the go,
Mhm.
especially with gas and this and that and the financial aspects. I'm gonna sit down for a little while. So he made me sit down and be still.
So sometimes,
Yeah,
so the advice is sometimes you need to just
yes,
sit down and be
sometimes you gotta
still.
be sick, and that's okay. But to let you know, it's okay to not be okay, because a lot of times people think. And my thing is, with my
Mhm.
diagnosis,
And that's what I want to jump
yes,
into. So
yes,
let's go into that. So then
yes.
here comes approximately, now do I have this right? Because I think if I know your story was 30 days. Am I wrong? Am I
Way,
right?
way too soon.
Oh,
Yes, it was
wait a
way
minute.
too,
It was
yes,
30. No, no, no. Wait a
yes,
minute.
it
It was
was.
30
No,
days.
it
No,
was.
well, it
It
was
was.
30 days
Yeah,
after you
it
got
was.
laid off, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure. Look, I
Yes.
know the story, but I'm like, let me make sure I'm
Yes.
saying the story right. So correct me if any
Yes.
time in the
No,
story I
you're
get wrong.
right. You're
But I'm
right.
like, I think I know the story, but let me make sure
Yes.
because,
Yeah.
yes. So
Yes.
after being laid out, and
Hmm.
that's a month. 30 days is pretty much a
Yeah.
month.
And I think with that,
So
because
you,
yeah,
so where were you when you got? Well, I'm assuming the doctor's office.
mm,
How? Or
well, I was at home.
let's back. That's what I was gonna
Okay.
say. Take us back to how you got to knowing something was going on with your
Okay.
breast. Let's
Because
go back.
I've always been one to do the self exam. So, thanks to my mom, I've always been well endowed. So it's just like, I know my girls have been here but it's just like, I've always
Mhm.
had the like abnormal mammograms. And I think the first time I had it, there was like, I just lost it. This is like probably 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And it was like, you got to go through the ultrasound, do this and that. And I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to have care. They was like, no, this is like the cyst. So I was like, this is perfectly normal. So I've been used to that. But then it was just like, I was lying down on the couch one night, just still, I had a habit of just doing it. And I was just like, wait a minute, this don't feel good. And I was like, what is this? And it's just you're pushing it. Of course, I definitely went to you to look at
You
Google.
Google or
What if
YouTube
you
or have you?
have?
Yes. Oh my
So
God. And that makes you think you
it
got
makes it
everything under the
worse.
sun.
Yeah. So then I was just like, this don't seem right.
Mhm.
And then of course that night I cried. I was like, well, what am I gonna do about my baby? You know what? So I was like, Trina, get yourself together. So this was actually at the end of August.
Mhm.
And I was going out of town for Labor Day. So I'm like, as soon as I get back next week, I'm going to the doctor, do the mammogram and stuff. So I was on my way home on Labor Day that evening. So my boss had called me and I was just like, what are you calling for? I'm off tomorrow, whatever. So I'm thinking, it wasn't abnormal for them to call to ask questions about whatever. So then the next day he called and kind of told me the great, you're this lovely, wonderful employee, but this and this and that. And I wasn't even mad. It's just like, okay. And then, so of course the spill.
Mhm.
So this was like, I was like, okay, so I have 30 days because I definitely couldn't afford Cobra.
Oh, you just said, I just realized your
Yeah,
insurance, because when
insurance
you
in
look, I didn't
30
think
days.
about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so you
it
had
was
30 days to
like,
get everything taken care
yeah.
of. And
So
Cobra is high. I know that
Cobra's
from
very
being
high.
like,
And
yep,
it was
Cobra's
like, I'm
high.
thinking within 30 days, I had to go to all these
Mhm.
appointments, see what's going on. So I did that. And they was like, well, since you feel a lump, you've got to go further, to the
Mhm.
ultrasound. So I did. I'm like, well, you got to send me tomorrow.
Mhm.
So it's like I was going to an appointment in Brentwood, one in Mount Juliet. They was like, I know you don't want to go that far. I said, I'll go wherever because I'm
Mhm.
on a time schedule.
Yep.
So I did all that in like the mid September, and
Mhm.
I went there. It was like, we gotta do the biopsy. We gotta do this, and I was like, when you get to that point, it's like, oh my God.
It's getting
So
real.
yeah. So
Yep,
then it
it's
was
getting
like
real
I
for
was
them to biopsy to see if it's
yes,
cancerous or
yes.
benign.
So when they
Mhm.
did all that, it was actually like September the 30th, and they called me and it was like, well, and it was like I was diagnosed with papillary carcinoma, and I was like, what is? I haven't heard of this.
I would say, tell me
Yeah,
exactly
so
what
the
that
doctor
means.
was like, it's a very slow forming
So it's
cancer.
not aggressive.
No,
Okay.
but it was a big tumor, but they was like it could have been growing for years and years, and it could have been like behind any cysts that you never would have known that.
Oh, okay.
So it was stage 0, which was total bliss.
Mhm.
So that, and I was thinking, he's like, and very few people get it. And I just remember saying, well, you ain't me. I'm the winner. It's like, congratulations to Rita. But it was, when I tell you, and I was sitting in my driveway, and the tears just started coming, because all you automatically think of the big C.
Yeah,
I'm gonna die.
I was just
So,
gonna ask you,
yes.
the fear. When did the fear set in?
When he told me that.
Mhm.
But and then it was kind of like, okay, I got to get to these doctors. But the blessing, the thing in that is, I found out, since I was diagnosed with breast cancer, you're automatically qualified for a teen care. So the day one. So I was just like, and there was like, they fully paid for it. And I'm thinking, well, shoot, if I was working, I'd have these co-payments. I'd have, so that was a blessing within itself. So I went through the doctor, and it was like, I've been with people who have radiology or who have to do chemo.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been on this side. So I didn't know that just because you had the diagnosis, you still got to meet with the ones who do chemo. You got to meet with the ones who do radiation, the medical doctor, the medical oncologist, physical therapy, nurse practitioner.
See your heart to make sure
I had to do them all just as a precaution. So that within itself was very overwhelming. And I didn't have a great medical doctor, because she wasn't very personable. For me, I need your time. I don't need you to hurry up and just
to get to the next. I was gonna say, what do you mean? Oh, she was like, okay, let me go back so I can make sure I'm understanding. Okay. Just so, when you say not person, you mean how when we go to the doctor and they only in there with us for like 30, sometimes 15 minutes. Yes. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. I thought you was trying to say she was a rude person, but no. Okay, because I was gonna say, wait a minute. But you said she was a surgeon.
She was this was the surgeon. So but I
never really know a surgeon to rush. Usually they're
the thing with that is, there are not very many in Rutherford County. So she was one of the few. So she had a lot of people.
Okay.
She had a lot. So I know she's trying to see people, but that's not what I need. So I ended up leaving her, and I have, and it's such a blessing. I have a best friend from college who's a doctor. So I finally told her. I didn't tell my family. Well, we'll get into that in a minute when I told my family, but it was like, I couldn't tell anybody because I couldn't grasp it. So for over a month, I went to everything by myself. And I think I look now, because I would see people who were there alone, and then people, they was like, oh, I hate that you have to be here by yourself. I said, I don't have to. I choose to be.
So let me ask you something then. So you would mention the importance of your village earlier. So you said you chose. Because I'm like, I just want to make sure. So talk to us about the role your support system played. Because if you didn't tell them.
I told them like a week before my surgery. So I told them in February.
Because don't you need a driver?
Okay, well, that's why I tell them. But now I did.
You see me looking at you like something ain't adding up, because you can't get in an Uber and a.
But I have a reason.
But did you tell your daughter?
I told my daughter in October, and then it was after the diagnosis. Of course, October is breast cancer month. Every commercial was about breast cancer, and I usually do Relay for Life, everything. And even my friends was like, "Well, you usually do you doing the team?" I was like, "No, I got to do such and such."
So you just kept brushing it off.
I couldn't. Well, I think my thing was, I had to, since I do have a great support system, they have these questions. They have this question. And because of concern, it's a good type of concern.
But you just wasn't ready to.
Because I couldn't answer them. I didn't even know myself. So I know that it would have irritated me with them asking stuff that I didn't even understand myself.
That makes sense now.
So I had to understand and grasp it to be able to talk to them. So I did tell my daughter, and then I told my best friend, she would come to the appointments and stuff with me. And my daughter.
Is this the one that's the doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And her for the medical side, because it's like everything they say, I ran by her.
Okay.
She's like, yeah, this and that's them this. So that was very calming.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably common and very reassuring for you.
Reassuring. So then I had to tell my family because I have one of my best friends. I probably met her much. She has a podcast. So I told her, I said, I had to tell her. I said, I want to come on your show and I want to tell people my journey, tell them what I've gone through, because there's so many who go through stuff that need help. They just need a good face or a down to earth. Give me this talk. I don't need you to tell me these scriptures. I don't need you to tell me. I want you to talk to me face to face, no holds barred, for real, for real. So I had to tell my family before I went live on that. So I did tell them, and they was like, are you for real? I was like, yeah, for real, for real. You know, and then I was like, well, okay, when is your surgery? I said, Wednesday. And this was Friday when I told him, I said, oh, it's Wednesday. It was like
Next week.
next yeah. I was like, yeah, it's like Wednesday. So they weren't very happy, but they understood. And
That
then
makes
they were
sense.
fine, after a while. But I was like, you could have came to I said, I know. I said, I could have came to you guys. I know there's no doubt about that. I said, y'all know, but I had to grasp
Grasp.
that and be comfortable with it for myself. So a lot of times when I tell anybody, you got to do what's best for you. Because some people are like, well, I had to tell people. That's fine. But when I tell you September and October, I was a nervous wreck. And nobody would have known. Like you said, you walk like you already healed. You are,
But
which
deep down, you could be crumbling and breaking.
I was just like,
But until
this
you're
is
ready to
crazy.
tell somebody to
Yes.
confide, then sometimes we know we have a village that we can confide in, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, let me say this to me because I can't speak for anybody else, but sometimes for me, it's more like, I don't want to burden you with this burden. Like you said, when I'm not for sure what's really going on, so I can't really convey it all the way to you because I be done told you, go on and take me on down to Terrell Brody, Highland Hills, and the way, because it just depends on where my mind is at that moment. So yeah, I know for me, I need to take it all in and then be ready. Like you said, the people are gonna come with the question, and it's like I probably just say, look, you just
And I think to keep peace because I would have been like, don't ask me anymore, and I would have been irritated. But I was calm, and I think right now, I said, but like I tell, like you got to do what works for you. You might need to tell people, and you need to be because right now it's a friend that I have. She was diagnosed and had surgery two weeks ago, so I'm able to help her, with some things. But you just got to do what you need to do. But my thing is at the point where I was in September and October is where some people are after their surgery. How it's like they're kind of down, they're a little depressed. I felt all of that before, So after I did tell people, it was like 12, 13, 14 people who wanted to go to my surgery. I said, y'all do know it's just outpatient, right? But it's just you got to do what really works for you. Yeah, that's really
it makes sense.
Really a blessing.
It really does. So for someone right now who may be struggling with asking for help from their village, what would you advise them? Like they really want the help, but they're just like, I don't know how to ask it. Let's say they're the strong one.
And that was one thing that or another thing I struggle with. I've always been a strong one. I very seldom get sick. Everybody else who gets sick, I'm the one to take you to the doctor. I'm the one who, and I love working. I enjoy it. If anybody needs something extra, I'm here. I got you. So it's kind of like when they say check on your strong ones or the strong, it's like it's hard for the strong one to be strong for themselves. And it's hard for the strong ones to let somebody else be strong for you. But I think with that, when you get to the point to where it's just like, God, I can't do this by myself. You gotta send me some help. Sometimes that help is the next person. Your help may be, it may not be your family, immediate family. It may be a stranger, and it may be a coworker or somebody you feel comfortable talking to. But even if that, send a text, send them a letter, leave them a message when they won't answer. But whatever it is, but it definitely, if you feel you need some, call me. You put my number on there. I don't even care. But I'll be there. Could talk to you and be like, hey, you need me to go with you? I'm not working. I can go to your appointments. Or whatever. But
so you're still not working
now. Still, so now I'm in the process. Now I do physical therapy, but that's just to get my range of motion back, which is doing very well. So I'm at the point where I'm diligently more and more now looking for employment because I'm done with all the other stuff. It's just like 6 months. And so the blessing in that was I didn't have to do chemo. I didn't have to do radiation. It's just like a pill that I'll take for probably 7 to 10 years, but I don't even care, but so it's just the thing of, if you do need somebody, you may not even know who that person is. That person may change from day to day. It may be somebody from out of town that you don't even have to look at every day. But just think of that person who is a no judgment type person who don't care if you cry, they don't care if you snotty, you get snot on them, look at makeup, or sometimes you just may need somebody just to sit there and listen.
Just listen.
They don't always need to say anything.
Like, don't talk, just listen.
Yeah, just listen. So.
Now that you're a breast cancer survivor, what did that journey reveal about your own strength that you may not have known about yourself before?
How strong I was, how strong I am. And like you say, when you're redefined and going through that furnace, it's like you really feel for real, that fire, that burning, that, and I think about it, it's like a candle. As a candle burns down, it's just like with the loss of my husband, then a year or so later, my close, a sister, and then, and several people that I know or I love, I'm close to, just one right after the other. So it's kind of like that wick is just burning down every time you light it up until it gets to the bottom, where it's like nothing left. And I felt like at that point when I was diagnosed, I'm like, I don't have nothing left. What else is it you gonna take? So it's just like, okay, I gotta be redefined. These are challenges, and maybe it had to happen, for me to grow into the woman that he wants me to be.
So of all the fires you have faced, grief, job loss, becoming an empty nester, battling cancer, which one challenged you the most and why?
I think I can definitely say with the cancer, because even though with the loss, I've lost a lot of friends, family, whatever. It wasn't expected, of course, but that when you think about it, it's like I lost my husband. I can get married again. Get another husband. Of course, you can never get real parents back. Okay, but if I marry someone whose parents are still alive, that's in-laws or whatever, I can get another job, but you can't get another breast. You can do reconstruction, and you can still do that, and you choose whether you want to do mastectomy or lumpectomy. It's whatever works for you. But the thing is, you never think that you're going to be the one to get cancer. I can console other people, like, don't worry about your hair loss, don't worry about this and that. And I didn't experience any of that because I didn't have the chemo or radiation. But even the journey, you can be there for everybody else, but you never think that C word is going to come to you. And I think that was the most, because like I say, everything else you really can get back. And if you don't, you can live with it, because I don't have to worry about, and even though even if somebody had an abusive husband, if he passed, you don't have to worry about him coming back to get you. You don't have to worry about a job where they were mean to you or just, crazy. You don't have to worry about that. You can get another functional job. But with the thing of cancer, it's always it may reoccur. It may come back. It may not be today. It may not be 5 years. It may not be 10 years, whatever. But there's always that chance that it can come back. But you just, but it's just kind of like, you kind of deal with it. And then it's like you say, why not me? Because I feel like this has really given me a certain platform to talk to somebody who may have been feeling, I can't do this. God, what is it? Who do you think I am? But he thinks that you're you. And he thinks that you can do it. And I'll always say, like I said, listen to that song. Maybe it had to happen. And I feel like this chapter in my life is very personal.
You talked about the furnace earlier. And you know where I'm going. What we learned, look, I'm going to take us back to Vacation Bible School. I can't help but to think about Daniel.
Yeah.
And somewhere, I think it's like chapter 3, wherever it is in the Bible. Y'all Google it real quick. But y'all know we talks about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I told you we going way back. Yes. When they were thrown into that fiery furnace. In the Bible, we were taught back then in Vacation Bible School, because that's when I really probably paid attention, other than being grown now. But that's when we first talked about it.
And Sunday school.
Lord, I done forgot about Sunday school. I done jumped past Sunday school I guess my memory must be from Vacation Bible School. Lord help me.
Okay.
I probably didn't really go to Sunday school. My mom was probably late for church. No,
you crazy.
But no, I say all that to say, the Bible was talking about that when the king looked into that fire, he didn't just see 3 men in the fire. There was a fourth image, and that fourth image was God. And what I was going to say to you is, you may have been going through all of life's challenges, but God was in every step with you. And yes, you may have questioned it, as you should, because we get into our flesh. We're not going to act like this flesh don't exist. So we're going through that. You have to tell yourself, you know what? I'm stronger than this. God had put something in you. Like you said, you had that village praying for you. You had all of this. But I need the chat to do something. I need you all to drop a fire emoji if you see how God is or has this. Well, let me say it this way. If you see how God is working in Sarita's life and how he worked back then through all these challenges, and not only just for her, but for yourself.
For you too.
Yes. If you see yourself going through this and God is in every step, throw out some fire emojis. It just had me to think about that. Do we have anything in the chat? It just made me think about that, because it's like, woo, you went through all of this, but yet, guess what? She's still standing. She could be somewhere in a life jacket. I mean, not a life jacket, a straight jacket.
Baby, and you know what?
I told you I'm still on
she
party.
Don't put me in a life jacket.
I don't put you. Well, look, wait a minute. Let's play on words. I put you in a life. See, y'all see how Qiana man work. See, I put you in a life jacket. You want to know what that means?
I'm gonna go on a cruise.
No, what? No. That means you got more life ahead of you. I gave you a life jacket. It means you got. Amen. You see how I did that thing? See, I turned, baby. I'm good on wordplay over here. Let me mess up some, baby. I'm gonna fix it up real good for you.
You did a good job.
Yes, but I need y'all to also remember something, that when you're going through a test, what is the teacher doing? When you're taking a test, what is the teacher doing? The teacher's gonna always be quiet.
Be quiet.
So guess what? You're not gonna see God moving. You're not gonna be able to trace him, but you better know he's there.
And you better, I think too, one thing, even if anybody going through cancer or whatever, there are resources I've had to find, but it's people there, it's grants, and but I really think when you talk about God is right there, I think of one thing too. One day I was just like, okay, God, now look, we're gonna have to see what we're doing with this financial thing. I got this and that to go, and I had applied for this grant, like through breast cancer, and you wait forever and you never hear anything for everything. So I'm just like, okay, I gotta have this done. Which you can call people and talk to them, or else avoid their calls or whatever. But I'm just avoid their calls until it's the final one. But it's just like, I got this to do, and I think what I had going on was maybe like, I told them maybe 478 or 48 or something, and it was just like, that Friday, I was like, okay, Monday, I got the weekend to work on it. So it was like that Friday, checking my mail, and it was like a $500 check that I got from like one of the organizations.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, what got changed? So it's just like sometimes like that. But it's like, God, I know I'm trusting you. I know I have faith, but still sometimes it's just, yes, it's that faith. And I'm just like, who would have thought I need to look at this all the time? But it's just like, and then you think about family. And years ago, I had this tattoo that says family over everything. And it really, it really is. And I'm just like, a lot of things you do, you don't see why, but it comes down to it. So, with anything, I definitely encourage anybody. It's somebody out there who's worse than you. And I really do see it, because even now, with just going for my checkups, because I'm at the 2 months or 3 months, just going to check up and just going in, and it's just like, hey, y'all, and I see the people in the office, they're like, well, hey, Miss Rita, how you doing today? I was like, well, if I was good, I wouldn't be here, and we just laugh.
Like, you have that have a sense of humor through it.
And it's just like going in and being able to walk by myself. Some come in with a wheelchair, and some just like they don't feel so good, and I know they're worn down, but it's just, I just like, God, this is a blessing. I can have an upbeat attitude. And then a lot of time, even with the people, in the office, I like one today. I tell them, I was like, I just want to thank y'all for being so nice. Your customer service is amazing. I said, and you're making this journey a whole lot better for me.
Mhm.
And one of the ladies looked like she was about to cry. She was like, thank you so much. She's like, we hear the bad things all the time. So I like to try to find good whenever I can. And every day is not the same. So a lot of times people will say, well, how are you doing, Tarita? And I will say, I'm good today. Tomorrow might be different. But I just try to find something good because, I mean, I could have had worse. It could have been a higher stage. And, that's just a blessing.
It truly is.
It's hard to see sometimes, but it's a blessing. Really
Let's sit here and listen to your story. I know you talked about a song, but I'm reminded of a message via CC Winans. You know the song "Never Lost the Battle."
Yes.
That song.
Yes, ma'am.
I just keep hearing it in my spirit, in my ear as you're talking. And to hear Cece has a wonderful voice.
Yes,
anyway.
She does.
I would sing it for y'all, but I'm not gonna
sound your
like
hidden talent.
I can sing, but it won't sound like Cece. It'll sound like my version.
That's okay.
So I'm just gonna kind of quote a few of the lyrics, because I love when I say. I wish I could play it. I really want to play it, but for copyright reasons, I can't on the show. But I need y'all to go and listen to it. Miracles move when you move. Because I'm about to start singing, so I'm trying to catch myself and start to sing. Such an easy thing for you to do. Your hand is moving right now. You are still showing up at the tomb of every Lazarus. Your voice is calling me out. And right now, I know you're able. And my God, come through again. You can do all things but fail. Because you never lost the battle. No, you never lost the battle. And I know you never will.
Yeah.
Lord, something just stirred. Like, if y'all go hear that, something going to stir up on the inside of you. But I really want to just play it. Forget copyright. I just want to play it. Like, y'all don't understand. Because y'all need y'all to understand the feeling that's going to give you. Because it may not just be breast cancer for somebody. It may not be a job loss. It could be just something so simple about you just think you're about to lose your mind. It's whatever you're going through, that song is just going to bring it back full circle for you. Just know that if you trust him, you're going to make it through. Now, let me say this. You may not always get the desired outcome that you want. Let me be real about it. Because there's some outcomes in life that I prayed about, but that's not what God had planned for me.
I think now I really understand and embrace more that his will be done. Because I'm kind of like, look, Lord, I done messed it up for 50 something years. So I have to, and sometimes and it may sound crazy, but sometimes I have to consciously not listen to myself. Because it's just like, okay, when I try to, this is the job I think I want. I need to do this, and that. But then it doesn't turn out. And I'm like, well, Lord, why you ain't do that? And then it's just like, well, maybe that's not what he wants you to do.
Well, sometimes he going to go and let you go over there. And then you going to go, you make, let me
look
just
what
say,
I told you.
Right. We make our life hard than what it has to be. Because guess what? We trying to be the pilot and not the co-pilot. Tell me,
I think one thing, shut up and keep on talking. But I think it's really interesting what you said, because I look at that even like relationship. Because even like now, that dating is a whole different world.
Are you dating?
Well, it's trying.
And the reason I ask people, when people come up, or people I talk to in general, it's always like y'all don't seem too confident and happy out here.
It's finding the gentleman, but and even on that, bring me back on that show. But look, bring on back.
Look, we'll bring you back, because I hear that a lot. And I'm like, well, I'm not actively looking,
right?
But I'm just like, Lord, I don't think. Let me just stay
on. What I thought about that, even what you said about what is it you just about how like I tell a lot of people too,
and making life hard.
Yeah, even with relationships, I tell people relationships, people make them harder than they have to be.
Mhm.
You know, you think with communication, with listening, and I think about that too.
People don't understand the
They don't
difference in
understand
both of
that.
them. These are two
They don't
separate
understand
things.
They don't
Communication
understand
and
that.
listening, those are two totally different things. But go right ahead.
Because you could say, I hear you,
Mhm.
but are you listening?
Listening.
Do you understand? And I think about that too, even with dealing with whatever everybody may deal with. That's a relationship with God. It's a relationship with your doctor, relationship with your family. So it's all about communicating with God because He communicates with us. So it's like if we're not talking to Him, He already know
What the
what you
outcome's gonna
need.
be,
He
right?
already know. But sometimes it's like, ask me, you know. And then sometimes it's not even asking. It's just like, I'm gonna go and thank you for this because I know it's gonna happen. So, and like you said, you have to be real with Him. Like, look, dude, let me tell you what. He know you don't mean anything by
Right.
it.
No
But,
disrespect. You just
no,
like, look,
no.
sometimes you tired,
No.
you don't have the proper etiquette, as some would say, or the
Yes.
proper protocol. Sometimes you got to get down right ugly with it.
That's
God,
right.
I need you now, not tomorrow,
Yes.
not another day is going to do. What's smoking north for say? Yeah, all that.
Look, I know you ain't never lost a battle, but come fix this one
Right.
now, you know. So,
Right.
but it's just about, you know, even within that, it's that relationship that you have to, and you have to have it in your way because your way is not mine, and it may not be yours. It may not be any of you guys. So you can't listen and look how somebody else deals with something or their relationship because it may totally fail for you. You know, you have to have a feel for it and what works for you. But believe me, when you feel like your wick and your candles burn all the way down and you can't light it anymore, you have no other choice.
Yep.
You,
So, and finally, if there is someone watching right now tonight who feels like they are in the middle of their own fire, what do you want them to know before we end this conversation?
that you can make it.
Simple
And
as
this is not the end. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's not. And that's real talk.
Yes. Tarita, thank you for your transparency, your courage, your faith, and your willingness to share your story with us tonight. I know you've helped so many people, and you probably don't even realize it.
You're probably right, and it's amazing. I think too, and like you said, I know you close up, but I think one thing about it too is I've truly got a sense of you hear it all your life. What you go through is not for you. It really isn't because I mean the people from being a widow to even with my daughter, that's like how do you get it to where she go to college here? Why you go? I'm can help you with scholarship. I can help you whatever, or even the loss of your sisters, close as y'all were. How do you do it? How do you help her kids? How do you do this? So it's like you realize sometimes you really realize how people are looking at you from the outside, but it's like when you get that inbox, which is like, girl, you helped me through this. It's like, what I do? Just by just something you said or just, and you never know what people are going through. And it just may be and sometimes I may see people like with their head down the water. I'm like, hey, that's a cute shirt you got on. It's just like, really? Because your smile may for real, be the only one they see, when they're going through stuff. So I just try to, be that light and do what keep people encouraged. But I mean, even with, your listeners, your viewers or whatever, even if you get questions or whatever, I don't mind.
Yeah, tell them what they can find you, follow you if they want to keep up with your journey.
So I do have kind of 2 Facebook pages.
Yes, we discovered that.
So it is, but the one with the 3 pictures is me. So it's Tarita Wright Burrows. You know who I think on the Instagram, like TT122. My daughter made these up.
That's
so
TT122 sound like
no, my birthday's January 22nd.
Let's clear that up. What site was you on?
No, my birthday's January 22nd.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna let you have
but
that
yeah,
one.
So I can, give you all that, or you know how to find me, and then I really don't even care
or if
about
you
my number.
Can't remember how to reach her and you already follow me, of course, just shoot me a DM, a message, whatever, and I can put you in contact with Miss Tarita.
Yes.
And y'all.
And I thank you too for even having this, because a lot of times this is how people know stuff. This is how they feel comfortable with, seeing you talk about what they want to know, but they may not want to ask or don't feel comfortable asking anybody. So this is an amazing outlet.
Thank you. That's what I created it for real talk, Real people and relevant conversations, no gossip, just gems. That's what I do this for. Because we have a lot of entertainment. Yes, I am entertaining you, but it's entertainment with a purpose.
With the purpose.
So we have to have that. And y'all, that fire, it's going to come. But it's going to reveal the goal. You know, we got to get into this real talk.
Yeah.
What an incredible conversation with Sarita. Family, if tonight's episode taught us anything, it's that resilience isn't built when life is easy. Resilience is built when life is hard. It's built when the moments when we don't understand, when we're tossing back and forth with what's happening. It's built when we're grieving. It's built when we're disappointed. It's built when we're afraid. It's built when life forces us to discover strength we never knew we had. Sarita's story reminds us that being refined by fire doesn't mean avoiding hardships. It means allowing hardships to develop something valuable within us. The fire may leave scars. The fire may change us. The fire may stretch us beyond our comfort zones. But sometimes the very thing we thought we would destroy, that would destroy us, becomes the thing that develops us.
Yes.
If you're watching tonight and you're facing your own fire, I want you to remember this. Your struggle has not disqualified you. Your setback has not disqualified you. Your diagnosis has not disqualified you. Your grief has not disqualified you. Your unemployment status has not disqualified you. Your heartbreak has not disqualified you. You are still here.
Yes.
You still have life, breath in your body. You're still standing. You are still growing, and your story is not over. If this conversation has blessed you tonight, make sure you share it with someone who needs encouragement. Tag a friend, leave a comment, subscribe to the I Am Qiana Scales YouTube channel, and help us continue spreading messages of empowerment, of transformation that's going to change someone's life. This isn't just a podcast. This is a movement, and I want you in the room every time I go live. This is a healing zone. I can't say that enough. This is a healing zone. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, keep believing, and keep becoming everything God created you to be. This is the I Am Qiana Scales podcast, where truth meets transformation, real talk, real people, relevant conversation, no gossip, just gems. Toodles!
Bye, guys.
Hey.